Okay, good morning. We're up to Nun Beis Amid Beis, and we get a tremendous digression, really, from Oina, and we jump headfirst into Maisa Sheni, all the way up to the Mishnah on Nun Hey Amid Aleph. All the way up to Nun Hey, we're going to discuss Maisa Sheni. Now, we were discussing a coin that lost its value. It got rubbed out. And what was the share of Oina, at which point in time? We saw 3 Machlokes. The Mishnah had said, however, when you come to go ahead and be poded a Maisa Sheni, you want to take out the Kedusha of Maisa Sheni and bring it to Yerushalayim, the Mishnah had said that you could take this coin, V'noisna l'Maisa Sheni, ve'ena choshesh, she'enu ela nefesh ra'ah. It's mashma, you go ahead, you can mechalal it on face value, even though it's worth less, you can mechalal on face value, because any person that is so medagdek in this is really a stingy person. It's such a, in other words, this coin can be used for, let's say, if it's a seller, you could go ahead and find the person to take it. It's not puzzled completely. It's just the people or medagdek that have to get a perfect seller. So since it's not, it really could get that value when it comes to being mechalal Maisa Sheni, taking the kedusha Maisa Sheni and placing it on a coin, we could use it. And we're going to begin a tremendous digression as a result. We're up to Nun Beis on the base, probably about 15 lines up. Amar Rav Papa, Shmamina, we see from this din that you can be mechalel Maisa Sheni on a poor coin at its face value. Haiman de Muki Azuze, it's a person that is Muki Azuze, meaning he's makbid that the coin should be perfect. Mikri Nefesh Ra is called a bad guy. Bahani Mili Hu Desagi Le, that's dafka if it's usable. In other words, other people would take this coin at its face value. Now, Mashain Kane, if no one takes it at face value, then obviously you're not a bad guy because it's not good. It says going Messiah this brisa, this seems to be a right chizkiya. Now, from this brisa, it seems that we're treating Maisa Sheni a bit lightly because we're taking a coin that's not universally accepted and we're going ahead and using its face value to machal Maisa Sheni. If anything, you think the kedusha of Maisa Sheni would have to be on a perfect coin, but you see not like that. You see that that even on an imperfect coin, we're going to treat it with its perfect value. So the Gemara says this l'chayra is a Messiah leila chizkiya. Dama chizkiya. What does chizkiya say? Bo leparta. If you're going ahead and you want to take a coin and make it from silver to copper. Bo leparta b'shabeha. Then you go according to its worth, its actual worth. So not according to its face value, but according to its metallic content. However, if you're coming to go ahead and use it as the mechalal, take the kedusha of Paris and put it on the coin, mechalal b'yafa, you can go ahead and mechalal what using what its face value. Now the Gemara wants the ma'ikama l'chayra this din we said in the Mishnah hachikama. It's one statement. Even though when you come to go ahead and make it into copper denominations, you go according to its real value. So l'chayra, so you see that Chizkiya agrees that Chizkiya says when you go ahead and use it, the face value, even if it's imperfect, right? You can mizalzel. Fred the Gemara Lemeimer the Sotah Chizkiya mizalzel of Maisa Sheni. You mean to tell me that Chizkiya says that what we can be mizalzel Maisa Sheni, treating it leniently? V'ama Chizkiya Maisa Sheni shein b'shava pruta. So you have Maisa Sheni, fellas, and it doesn't have a shava pruta. Now, if it doesn't have a shava pruta, you can't be mechalit. It's not. The word, the Hebrew word is teifis pidyoina. It doesn't manifest. The pidyon doesn't manifest. It's not strong enough. You need money, and less than a shava pruta is not money. So therefore, if you have Maisa Sheni that's less than a shava pruta, you have no option l'chayra, except if you chizki, you might have an option. What says chizki? Okay, let's say I have the following. Let's say I have, fellas, I have a pruta and a half of Maisa Sheni. So if I go ahead and I'm mechalal on a pruta, I have a half left. So what does Chizkiya say? Go ahead and be mechalal the other half, and it's chaimish on the original money. Now it has to be that the original money had some worth left over. If it was exactly a pruta, how can you go mechalal a pruta and a half? After all, it's been used up. The pruta part's been used up. So it must be, Chizkiya holds, that anytime a person's mechalel money, he always leaves over on the coin. He always leaves over a little bit. And therefore, because you don't want to be exact, we don't want to cheat Ma'aser Sheni in any way, shape, or form, taking $100 worth of Ma'aser Sheni and only having a $99 coin. So what we'll do is we'll take $100 worth of Ma'aser Sheni and we'll have a coin that's worth 110. So we'll always leave over a little bit because we don't need mechalel. So says Chizkiah, if you have 1.5 and you have the half left over, you can be mechalel on the original coin, because on the original coin there'll always be a little place left over because the person is always not is mechalel, not exactly. It's not possible for a person to mitzamsei moisav. So you see that what a person, if that person leaves, is not. You're telling me that you can be mechalel using less, right? In other words, the face value is less, and you're going to go ahead but since people would go ahead and accept it, if you work hard, you can get it. So we treat it linearly. We see over here the opposite. We're seeing over here that you leave over more space. And Chizkiah said this, so you have a problem with Chizkiah. How can you tell me Chizkiah treats it linearly? We see he doesn't treat it linearly. We see that what? When you point the Ma'aser Sheni, you're always leaving a little extra over. It says, my yafa, what does it mean over here when it says biyafa? It means b'toiris yafa. Rashi explains that, let's say you can you go to a shulchan, he'll give you 20 for this coin, or you go to another guy, he'll give you 19 for this coin. You're always going to go after the 20. So really, you're not mizal the Ma'aser Sheni. You're going to go to the higher amount. The trey zile loy mizal zelina. We're not going to go ahead and be mizalzel twice. One, using an inferior coin, and two, going to the lower amount. Right? We're not going to do that. That's pshat Chizkiah. Okay. So let's go get Chizkiah's din again, because now we're going to digress and discuss the din. So we got into this because our Mishnah mentioned that you have a coin that has lost some of its value. You can be mechalel Ma'aser Sheni on its face value, since you'll find someone to go ahead and take it at its face value. Chizkiah said a din if you have a Ma'aser Sheni money that is less than a shava pruta, so go ahead and be mechalel on the original money, because there'll always be available space on that original money, guys, right? There'll always be available space. So if you have a little extra, you have an extra space for the shava pruta bichal. A shava pruta zichalein doesn't work. A shava pruta zichalein doesn't work because it can't be toifis pidyono. It can't grab onto the pidyon. It's too little. It's not strong enough. Masha'en kain, if you have an existing coin that already has been grabbed onto Ma'aser Sheni, so just use the little extra that was left over for the shava pruta. That's Chizkiah's din. Okay, to understand the Gemara, we just need a little background over here. We know the concept of bittul is learned out from the pasuk achrei rabbim lahatos, to go after the rabbim. So if you have two objects versus one object, the two will be mevatel the one. That's called bittul baroiv. Midaraisa bittul baroiv. So if you had Ma'aser Sheni that is with chulin, let's say, it should be mevatel that it should lose its Ma'aser Sheni. 2 versus 1. That should be the din. Okay? That's the Raisa. What about the Rabbanon? We know in the realm of the Rabbanon Dikadinim, there are certain chumras. So, for example, I don't know if this is the Raisa, could be Reb Shimon Amakis, a birya is not batal. If you have a little ant, guys, if you have a huge cholent pot and a little ant falls in, until the ant is decimated, until it falls apart, you can't eat it because you have a birya, you have a living thing in there. Dava sheish by minyan, something that is chashiv, that it's counted, it falls in, it's not batal. Dava sheish loy matirin isn't batal. In other words, if I can go ahead, classic cases, be'ez shenolda b'yontif. If you have an egg that's born on yontif, it's muktzah. If it falls into a pot with other eggs, right, it should be batal b'roiv, 2 versus 1. But it's not. Why? Because if you wait a day, it's going to be muta. Any dava sheyesh matirin, anything that it itself can become muta, we don't say pittel. We're going to now go ahead and see that Ma'aser Sheni is batal. The question is, if it's according to Chizkiah, why is it batal? It's a dava sheyesh matirin. Since according to Chizkiah, you always have the option of redeeming it and taking off its kedusha, why do you go ahead and afford it bittul? Once it's a davar sheish lamatirin, the Rabbanan said, "Ain't a batal afilu be'elef batal." And Loit Chizkiya, in any scenario, even less than a Shava Pruta, we should be able to be Mavatal it. And yet we're going to see it is Batal. That's the kasha. The whole Shak V'Tari is based upon this format that I just gave you. Like Chizkiya, it should be Batal, because you could take off the Kedusha. Yet the Mishnah says it is Batal. That's the Shak V'Tari we're about to embark upon for the next minute and a half. Gufa. Amar Chizkiya. Maisa Sheni, She'en B'Shava Pruta. Maisa Sheni does not have a Shava Pruta. Oimer Hu V'Chaim Shoy Mechul Al Moisa Rishonais. You can go ahead, you mechalal it, and it's chaimish on a previously used money, because that previously used money will have a makom that's available, right? It's available because you didn't go ahead and you are mitzamsim exactly when you went ahead and took off the kedusha. It's not possible for a person to mitzamsim. So in my scenario, guys, the guy's not going to use 100; he's going to use 110. He'll always leave a little more. So Mamela, you'll always have a place for the less than Shava Pruta to be typhus. Guys, I'm talking a lot. Are we okay? It's Baruch Hashem. Now, Mesidei. Hatruma, this is fascinating, a Mishnah in Bikurim. And Chala. Hatruma v'habikurim, Truma Gedailah, that's given to the Kayin. Bikurim, the first fruits that we do, which the Torah calls Truma. Chayav Malayem Misa. If a Zor eats them, he's Chayav Misa b'dei Shemayim. Only a Kayin can eat them. And when you go ahead, a Zar is chayiv. If he eats it b'shoigeg, he be chayiv to pay not only the keren, the principal, but he have to pay a chaimish, a quarter, as we'll see. V'asurim lezarim, it's also to zarim. That would appear to be an extraneous din. You just told me that a zar eats it is chayiv misa, so obviously it's also to zarim. Why do you have to tell me asurim lezarim? You already just told me that you chayiv misa b'dei shemayim. Says Rashi, v'asurim lezarim b'lo yoichal, and this is of lo yochol. And Rashi answering the question, the itzrich lemisnaya. Why do you have to learn it? Already you told me chayiv misa b'dei shemayim. Mishum the boy lemisnaya mashein came b'maisa that filu isaleka. We're going to contrast Maisa to Truma and Bikurim. And since by Truma and Bikurim, a Zor is not allowed, we stated that simply because Maisa, Sheni, a Zor is allowed. That's the way Rashi learns. Taisus learns, let's see Taisus, Shleimar, 4 lines down, top Taisus, Kinim Farish B'Yishalmi, Vasurim Lezorim Afilu Chatzi Shir. Even Chatzi Shir would be Asa. Even Chatzi Shir would be Asa. So that's Machlokes Rashi and Taisus, what the Chiddush Asur Lezorim is. Just a little side point in our digression to our digression. Back to the Gemara. Bikurim is considered nichsei kayin. Truma is considered nichsei kayin. You could go ahead and be mekadesh and isha with that. Maisa, on the other hand, we pass like Rabbi, that Maisa Sheni is momen gavoa. It's not yours. It's Hashem's who gives it to you. We have machlokes throughout Shas whether Maisa Sheni is momen gavoya or momen hedyet. Is it legally your money to do whatever you want with, or no? It's Hashem gives it to you, and you have to eat in Yerushalayim. Good. So therefore, I mean, according to you can't do anything you want with it. You have to eat in Yerushalayim, but it's your money. You can mekadesh nisha with it. So the contrast versus Maisa, Truma Gedolah and Bikurim is the money of the Kayin. He could be mekadesh nisha. Versus we're going to see the Maisa in a second. You cannot. It's Mammon Gavoya. V'oilim, and this is what we need. V'oilim be'echad umeya. The ratio for Truma to be bottle in Chulin is 1 in 100. 100 to 1. That's the ratio. V'tunim rechitzas yadayim. In order to eat Truma, fellas, you have to wash your hands. In Yanei D'Yoyma, guys, karpas. Why do you wash your karpas? Right? Because your hands are shniyos. Your hands are a sheni. And if it touches a liquid, they make it a rishon. And a rishon can be matama Chulin. So over here, this is a sheni came mitama truma. Truma is to make it a shlishi, level of shlishi. So if your hands are shniyos, to eat truma, you have to wash your hands. Masenke ma'isa, you don't. But erev shemesh, and if you're tamei, you're at full yoim, you cannot eat truma until the evening. Masenke ma'isa, you can eat as soon as you get out of the mikvah. So again, this is a contrast between truma gedolah bikurim and ma'aser. Arielu b'truma ubikurim. All these halachas we just mentioned are unique to truma bikurim. None of them apply to Maisa. Okay, now, what do we need? We need the Truma gets taken care of in the ratio of 100 to 1. That's what we need. Truma gets taken care of the ratio of 100 to 1. Mashen came b'maisa. Lav mechlal the maisa batal beruba. Right? In other words, right, it's batal beroiv. It's batal beroiv. Now, Rashi tells us, fellas, this whole case of maisa is speaking two things. One, it's less than a shava pruta. Why? Because if it was a shava pruta, you could be poided. If it's a shava pruta, you could be poided. Yes. Two, it's tamei. Because if it wasn't tamei, you could eat it in Yerushalayim. I've noticed I have two options. I have truma. I have ma'aser sheni mixed with truma, and you're telling me that ma'aser sheni is batal beroiv. Guys, why should it be batal beroiv? Bring it into Yerushalayim and eat it. Go ahead, take a coin and be paid on it. Ella must be, those two options are not available. Why? One, it's less, and this is what we need. It's less than a shava pruta, and therefore it's not something you can redeem. And two, it's tamei, therefore you can't eat it. Nonetheless, guys, it is what? Batal beroiv. Guys, you good? In other words, we're not speaking about regular ma'aser sheni. We're speaking about ma'aser sheni with two hakdamis, less than a shava pruta and tamei. Now, if the halach is like Hiskia, that less than shava pruta, fellas, you could be paida. Nimsa that this maisa is what? Is a davar sheyesh lematirin. So why would the Mishnah say Masha'en came the maisa that it's batal beroiv? Like Hiskia, it should not be batal at all because you could take off the kedusha by being paida on another coin that has space. That's the kasha. That's the kasha. It's a build-up. You just need a few yediyas for the kasha. Says the Gemara. So truma is 100 to 1. Mashen came b'maisa. Now, what does it mean when it says Mashen came b'maisa? Lav b'chal the maisa batal beruba. It's batal beroiv. Now, ve'emisa dechizkia, that you have the capacity to go ahead and be paida less than a shava pruta on another coin that was used for Ma'aser Sheni previously. It's something that you could take off the kedusha. Even elef is not batal. So it's a kasha and chizkia. It must be that when it's less than a shava pruta, you do not have the option of taking off the kedusha. It must be when it's less than a shava pruta, you do not have the option of taking off the kedusha. Guys, we're contrasting it to truma, correct? Truma is 100, the ratio 100 to 1. We opted to go leniently and say, well, as opposed to Maisa, which is batal in majority, I can go the opposite. I can go l'chumra. Truma is batal 100 to 1. Maisa is not batal at all. That's a true contrast. All I'm doing is a contrast, correct? Why did you contrast it leniently and lead to a question on Kiskia? I can contrast it to l'chumra and being a riot of Kiskia, right? But Truma is batal 100 meya. Masha'en kain Maisa is not batal at all. Why is it not batal at all? Because it's a davar sheish l'matirin. Because like Kiskia, even less than a shava pruta is subject to the halacha of pediya of redemption. Says Gemara Metzia, you can't possibly entertain that. That's not possible. Because the legabe truma chumri the truma katani, kula the truma like katani. Everything we're going through is a chumra that truma has over Maisa. It's Asir Zarim, that's a chumrah. It's nichse, it's oil 100 to 1, that's a chumrah. Washing your hands is a chumrah. Herav Shemesh is a chumrah. So therefore, it must be that it's machmir that what? That even by bittul, that's Maisa Sheni, that's 100 to 1, and Maisa Sheni is batal beruba. So therefore, you can't entertain that thought. Fred Gemara, 1 second. Not everything there is a chumrah, but nichse kayin. 1 second. The Kayin can be Mekadesh Nisha with Truma? Absolutely. Can you Mekadesh Nisha or Maisa Sheni? Nope. So you see that what is something there that is a Kula. So maybe Hu Adin Linyan Truma Linyan Bittel. That also, and therefore it's a Chumra by Maisa, and therefore it's a Raya to Chizkiah. Says Gemara, no, let's talk about that. Okay, let's go in the other direction. You can't possibly entertain that what that it's bottle, that it's not bottle at all. Why? The Tanya behead, because we have another brisa that says openly, Maisa Sheni Bittel Baruba. Maisa Sheni is bottle. Now, what's it? Where is it bottle Baruba? Based on Maisa Sheni Amru, the Maisa Sheni A Shein B'Shava Pruta. Good. And in addition, number two, Ushenichlas Yushalayim V'Yatza. You went into Yushalayim, you weren't paid it, and then you went and you didn't use it, and you went back outside again. And the Gemara is going to tell you that it became Tameh. In other words, what does it mean? You bring it to Yerushalayim, then you go out, you can't be paid it. Why not? Why not? Why can't you take the Kedusha off? So we're going to see in a second. Then Isal the Chizkiya, and if you hold Chizkiya's din, that less than a Shavar Pruta is a Bar Pediya, Li'avar the Chizkiya, go ahead, do what Chizkiya suggested you do. Bring a coin of Maisa Sheni that has extra room in it, and take that less than a Shavar Pruta, and be paid on that Maisa Sheni coin. So that's a half an amid to lead up to the kasha, guys. So what's the kasha? Chizkiya's din and the kasha. Says Chizkiya, if I have less than Shavar Pruta, I can go ahead, take an existing Maisa Sheni coin, take the less than Shavar Pruta, and put it on that existing Maisa Sheni coin, simply because I know that there's room on that Maisa Sheni coin. Tell us think about it, but the only coin that you possibly have room on is more than a Pruta. Guys, you hear? It would have to be a larger denomination, because if it's a Pruta, there's no room on a Pruta. Okay, so that's going to come into play. So it has to be that there's a larger denomination than that. Okay, so now we have a kasha on Chizkiya. Gemara comes to give you mitaretz. Says the Gemara, delay parik. You didn't go ahead and redeem Maisa Sheni money. In other words, I don't have a coin. Practicality, really, you could, but I don't have a coin. Fred Gemara v'nesi Maisa de Islay. Bring a Maisa v'nistar fininu. Go ahead. Bring a Shava Pruta. Guys, bring less than a Shava Pruta of Maisa. Now you have this Shava Pruta that's mixed in. Take a coin and say, the Shava Pruta that's mixed in, and the Shava Pruta that I'm bringing now should be mischalel on this coin. In other words, again, like Chizkiya, I have another Eitzah. Take a coin of a Shava Pruta. You have two halves now. One half that was mixed in with the other stuff. One half that's not mixed in. And now so why do you say that while it's batal b'roiv, you have what? You have an option. So now it's really a kasha and Chizkiya, because it should be a davar sheyesh le'matirin, because you have an option. Vafilu be'elef le'batal. Okay, fellas, that's in the mixture, that's davar sheyesh le'matirin, is a din d'Rabbanan. Again, I told you, midaraisa, it's batal b'roiv. The dinim of davar sheyesh le'matirin and the davar sheva minyan, these are all halak d'Rabbanan d'kadinim. So the problem over here is you'll be combining a deraisa and a d'Rabbanan. The deraisa of what you're bringing now, this half a pruta, that's mechuyev, and the d'Rabbanan dik that's mixed in. So that's not an option to go ahead and be paida, and that's why you can't do it. Says the Gemara, the deraisa d'Rabbanan limit starfei. The deraisa d'Rabbanan, right? The deraisa d'Rabbanan limit starfei. The deraisa d'Rabbanan do not combine. They don't combine, and therefore you're left with what? A half a pruta, which you have no option to go ahead and take care of it. Fred the Gemara v'nesi de mai, bring a half a pruta of the mai, which is only chayiv de rabbanon. The mai is again the tefua amaretz that they take off truma and were chayish that they didn't take off maisa. So therefore they're only de rabbanon in nature. I got two de rabbonons now. And now take a coin of a shava pruta and put it on that. So the Gemara, we're worried. If we let you bring a derabanan dika demai, you may come to bring a deraisa dika non demai, and then you be back to the same case of what being mitzvah for derabanan and deraisa. For the Gemara, v'nesi shtei prutos. So don't bring one, bring two prutas worth. V'nechal alayu maisa b'pruto mechza. On one, you'll take one coin. You'll take care of what? 1.5. And you have a coin, so you have two coins. On one, you're going to have a half, a whole. The other one, you're going to have a half, and you'll have a half left over for the mixture. Like Chizkiya, it should work. Two prutis, First pruta full, second pruta, take off half, bring a half, and the half that's what mixed in, you'll put on that. Says the Gemara, v'nachal. Let me read it again. Says v'nesi shtei prutos v'nechal alayu ma'isa pruto merza v'nechal hay al heich yisera, and you mechal on the extra. You have an extra room on a pruta, and you put it on that. Fred Gemara misavis pruta umerza tafsa shtei prutos. Do you think 1.5 is typhus on 2? Loi pruta tafsa pruta v'chatzi pruta like tafsa, right? And chatzi pruta is not typhus. We originally thought like this, guys. Watch. You bring 2 coins. You bring 1.5. You put the 1.5 over here. You still have a half left over. Bring the half that's mixed in. Put it on here, and now it'll be a problem of davashesh matirin. Says the way it's not the way it works. If I have 1.5 of truma, so 1 pruta is being taken care of 1 pruta. In other words, it doesn't work 1.5 into 2. It works 1 to 1. So I got 1 to 1. I took care of that. What am I left with? A half and a half. I have the same problem. Half the raisa, half the rabbana. It doesn't work. And you thought that it worked that 2 and 1. So it was the one big mixture. So 1.5 into the 2. But we're going to view it individually. 1 to 1, half to half is no eitzah, says the Gemara. Again, the lashon of the Gemara. Mi sarvis pruta amerza tafsa shnei prutois. That 1.5 goes into 2. Loi pruta tafsa pruta. 1 goes to 1. The chatzi pruta loi tafsa, and the other half what? Right? There's not typhus. So what do you have? You have a half and a half. The rice of the abundant, the rice of the lemon starfe. So far, Chizkiya's held serve. Chizkiya's held serve. I can hold my din, and still it's bottle beroiv. Why? Because I don't have an eitzah to be paida. Once I don't have the eitzah to be paida, it's not a matirin, and therefore everything so far is good. Okay. Until now, we've been dealing with prutas. V'nesi iser. Okay. We saw yesterday an Easter is. We saw yesterday an Easter is 2 pidyonis, right? And I think pruta is even less than that. So bring an Easter. An Easter is a larger coin, and now you'll have leftover space for the half. If Chizki is correct, Ella must be that Chizki is not correct, and therefore it's batal b'roiv because it's not a davashesh matirin. V'nesi Easter, bring an Easter, and now you don't have. It's not like a pruta, which is exact, fellas, but you have more space. It says, we're worried that what? If we let you bring a larger coin, you may come bring a smaller coin prutos, and we know it doesn't work on a pruta, and therefore it's batal b'roiv. Okay, we said above, what's the case that is under discussion over here? 1, it couldn't be eaten, and 2, it couldn't be redeemed. Okay, we said that what? It couldn't be redeemed because it was less than a shavuot pruta, and it seems it couldn't be eaten because it went into Yerushalayim and went out again. It says the Gemara, "Ushnichlas Yerushalayim v'yatza." It went in and out without being paida. V'amai. What's the problem of eating it? Ulahadu and go back inside and eat it. So what's the problem? In other words, this was the case of the Maisa under discussion. We were contrasting Truma and Maisa. Truma having a ratio of 100 to 1. Maisa going ahead and being batal b'roiv. For the Gemara, why is it batal b'roiv? Ayetz davashesh matirin says that how's it materit? 1 or 2 ways, either by redeeming or eating. We have no problem. It can't be redeemed because it's less than a shavuot pruta. It can't be eaten because it went out of Yerushalayim. For the Gemara, bring it back to Yerushalayim and eat. What's the problem? It says Gemara b'shenitma. Okay, it's speaking where what it was. Tamei. It was tamei. For the Gemara. So therefore, there's no heter. Since no heter, it's batal b'roiv. For the Gemara v'nifrake, you still can be paid when it's tamei. Dam Rabbi Laza, minayim l'maisa sheni shenit ma shepaid. And I say, how do you l'maisa sheni became tamei? You can be paid. Right. Even though it's asa b'achila, that you can be paid. Shepaid. And I say, on the base, how do you can be paid? I feel of Yerushalayim, even if it entered Yerushalayim, shenemar. It says in the pasuk says regarding Ma'aser Sheni, if you have a lot of crops, what do? You got a long way to go. So you're unable to carry all your crops. Because it's a large distance away. So what should you do? You should go ahead and be poided. Now, so my mashma that the word seis means when to carry. So you're poided because you're unable to carry. Says the Gemara, "Ve'ein seis el achila." Seis also means achila. Shenemar, it says by Yosef, it says by Yisa Masais me'es panav. They carried away the food me'es panav, but teir masas binyamin. Okay, so the loads. You see, the load meant the food. You see, seis means food. So here's two ways to be poida, guys. Kilois suchal seisai. Poida it because you can't carry it. Kilois suchal seisai. Poida it because you can't eat it. Says Rashi on Daf Yotes Amid Beis in Makis. Since you can't eat it, you could be poida. Why can't you eat it? Because it's tamei. So Fred the Gemara Kasha, why did you assume that just because it left Yerushalayim and that became tamei, you can't eat it, right? You still can be poided. Since you can be poided, it should be what? A double sheish lavatirin. So why is it batal b'roib? That's the Gemara's kasha. And for the Gemara, ela b'lekuach b'kesef ma'aser sheni. We're not speaking about, guys, about ma'aser sheni lichatchila. We're speaking about the food you purchased with ma'aser sheni. What did you do? You went out to Yerushalayim, you bought your crops, you took that money and you took the crops and you put it into coins. That coins had Kedushas Ma'aser Sheni. You then purchased real food with that. So until now, we thought you were speaking about Ma'aser Sheni itself, your crops of Ma'aser Sheni. No, we're speaking about crops purchased with the funds of Ma'aser Sheni. And that doesn't seem that you can be paid up. For Gemara, Belkuch Ma'aser Sheni Nami Lifrike, you should be paid it. That non Halakuch B'Kesef Ma'aser Sheni, food that had been purchased with the money of Kesef Ma'aser Sheni, Shenitma, that became Tamei Yifta. So l'chayra, once you can be paid it, why is it batal b'roif? It should be davar sheish matirin. On that, the Gemara answers, he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, Damar yikaver. Once the food purchased with Ma'aser Sheni money becomes Tamei, you have to bury it. You have to bury it. Now, therefore you have to bury it. It's not a davar sheish matirin, therefore it's batal b'roif. Fred the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, who says you bury it, my area yatsa. What does it have to do with going in and out of Yerushalayim? Afilu leyatsa name. No, it's even if you're not yatsa, got tamei, bury it. What does it have to do with going in and out of Yerushalayim? Elul oilam is speaking about tar. We're having charata. It's speaking about tar, and now why can't? If it's speaking about tar, why can't you eat it, fellas? You can't be paid it because it's less than a shava pruta. Why can't you eat it? Well, my yatsa dinafal mechitzos. You can't eat it because the walls of Yerushalayim fell down. So we have a new kimt over here. The mice is speaking where it's less than a shavar puta and the walls of Yerushalayim fell down. And since it fell down, you can't be paid it. Read the Gemara of Amar Rava mechitzas lechol daraisa mechitzas likloik derabanan. So you should to be unable to be paid im yaitza. It's only derabanan. Mechitzas rabanan ki isnahu lemechitzas. When they geysa, that's only if there are mechitzas. He less no mechitzas like gasru. Right? When there's no mechitzas, they weren't geyser. So therefore, what? You should be able to be paid it, and therefore it should be davar sheish matirin kasha on why the Mishnah says batal b'roiv. It says we're on light plug rabbanon. They made no light plug. They didn't make a difference between whether the walls are there or not. Once you went in, there's no going out. Can't be paid it. Bein isnal mechitzas, whether there are mechitzas, bein less no mechitzas. Okay, that's the first error. Rav Huna bar Yehuda Amar. Rav Huna bar Yehuda is coming to answer again. We had the way we learned the brisa, guys. It was two statements. The way we learned it was two statements. One, Ma'aser Sheni was that didn't have a shava pruta, and two, it left Yerushalayim and went back. So we learned it as two separate statements, and therefore we had a problem. Why in the world why can't you be paid it, right? Why can't you be paid it if it's a davar sheish matirin, ein matirin, and a kashan chizkiya, and then we learned it's going in and out of Yerushalayim is the second statement. Rav Huna learns it as one statement. Rav Huna bar Yehuda Amar Rav Sheshes It's one statement. Ma'isa sheni shein b'shava pruta shenichnas Yerushalayim v'yatsa. Why did you gain, guys? The reason you can't be poida has nothing to do with less than a shava pruta. It has to do with it went in and out of Yerushalayim. The whole kasha on Chizkiah, when Chizkiah had a hechet timsa, he had a way to be poida less than a shava pruta, right? Go ahead, take a coin that's larger, and there's always extra room. The reason over here you can't be poida has nothing to do with the fact that it's less than a shava pruta. The Gemara is going to ask in a second. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's less than a shava pruta. The reason you can't be poida is because it left Yerushalayim and went back in. So that would answer the kasha on Chizkiah. Beautiful. In the Havami, in the first Lashon fellas, it was two statements. So he had to answer up. Why can't you be poida? According to this, I'll tell you why you can't be poida. Because it left Yerushalayim. Not because it is less than shava pruta. Nothing to do with that. Once you get off the shava pruta, it's not a kasha on Chizkiah at all. Zero. So very geschmack. Says the Gemara. Chada Ketani, one statement. Ma'isa sheni she'ein b'shava pruta sheniflik Yerushalayim v'yatsa. Fred the Gemara, Amai, why can't you be poida v'nahada v'na'la v'nechle? Go eat it. Go back inside and eat it. The nafal mechitzos. The mechitzos fell down. Says the Gemara, v'nifra case will be poida it. Ha'amarabba mechitza lechel deraisa mechitza likla derabanan. And v'chigazu rabbanan ki isnu mechitzos ki lesnu mechitzos loy gazu rabbanan. Says Gemara loy plug rabbanan. They didn't make a statement. Now, if you're telling me that the problem is going in and out of Yerushalayim, it has nothing to do with the shava pruta. So why do you say less than a shava pruta? Bishleim, if it's two separate statements, I can't be pointed because it's less than a shava pruta, and then it's a kasha and Chizkiah. But now you're telling me it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a shava pruta, less than a shava pruta. It has everything whatsoever to do with the fact that you left Yerushalayim. Read the Gemara kasha. If it's the fact that you left Yerushalayim, my area ain't by shava pruta affiliation by nami. Affiliation by nami also you can't be paida again. If it's two separate statements, I understand the shava pruta because it's not typhus pidyoinai. But if you're telling me it's a chesaron and leaving Yerushalayim and has nothing to do with the fact that that's a shava pruta, not why do you learn less than a shava pruta? I feel a full shava pruta you can't be paida. Great question. And for the Gemara, loy mi boy come out. You don't need to tell me. Loy mi boy yesh boy, even if it has a shava pruta, the cult and lemechitzais that it was inside and you should have been paida, guys. At a full pruta. You should have been paida. It was inside Yerushalayim. That's where you're paida. And therefore, your failure to do it, you can't be paida once it leaves. Aval ain boy. If it doesn't have a shava pruta, you know what you might say? Ema loy koltule. The walls did not go ahead and collect it, meaning it was never in the ballpark. When do we say that you lose your option when you go out? Is only when you could have done it when you're in. But since shava pruta, you could less than a shava pruta, you could not have done it when it was inside. I would say leaving is not mailu umayrid, and if it goes back inside and you get it together, you could be paida. So I may think even though it's less than a shava pruta, mechitzas are kail. Okay, so that was the challenge on Chizkiah. We answered the challenge on Chizkiah. Why it's batal b'roiv. Predominantly, it's because either two pshatim. One, it's speaking less than a shava pruta and tamei, or two, it's speaking where it's just you went outside the walls of Yerushalayim and it wasn't no longer there. Okay, Torah Rabbanan. Okay, what does the pasuk say? This is the Indian Hegdish. It says v'im goyel go'ol yigal ish mi ma'asroi. If a person's goyel his ma'aser, chamishisa yosef alav. He should add what? His chaimish. So if you're paida, it's face value. If I'm paida, mine, I have to add a chaimish. The Gemara is going to discuss, does that mean a quarter or does that mean a fifth? Milagav would be a fifth, milabar would be a quarter, as we're going to see. So now, im gol yigal ish mi masroi. Mi masroi, mi masroi. Anytime, guys, you have a mem at the beginning, it means part of, and not all of. Mi masroi, v'loi kol masroi. Or not, sometimes you add a fifth, but not all the time do you add a fifth. Mi maisroi, from miktsas maisroi you add a fifth, not all of them. Prat lemaisa sheni shem b'shava pruta. Right? Ein b'shava pruta there's no maisa. Itmar, Ravami Amar, ein boy, Ravasi Amar, ein b'choim shoy. When it says that you doesn't have a shava pruta, does it mean in the keren itself, or does it mean in the choimish? In other words, In order to be Eir Chaimish, you need at least 4. In other words, to add a 5th, you need 4 existing ones. So you never have Padilla less than 4 prutos, guys. If it's Ein Boy, then it's even a pruta. But if it's Maisroi, that when it says over here that Ein Boy Shava Pruta means in the Maisa there's no Shava Pruta, that means you, according to Rashi, you would have 4 prutas in the first place. So in other words, less than four prutas, you wouldn't have what? Maisa. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ein Boy, Rabbi Shimon Lakish Amar Ein B'chaim Shoy. Meisivei. Maisa Sheni Shein Boy Shava Pruta. Maisa Sheni that doesn't have a Shava Pruta. Dayoy it's enough. Sheyoymar Hu B'chaim Shoy Mechulul Al Maisa Rishonais. This is what Chizkiah said, right? It and its chaimish should be mechulul on the original money. Again, there's always space on the original money. This one doesn't have a shava pruta. It's enough it and its chaimish. It and its chaimish. The afagav de bididei isbe. Even though what in the keren there is a shava pruta, even the bechum shaleka, since in the chaimish there's not. You don't have in the chaimish itself. You don't have maisa. You don't have a shava pruta shapir. Elmanda ein boy my dayoy. When it says dayoy, it should be just say hu b'chaim shoy. Dayoy is mashma fellas. Let's see Rashi. Rashi says beautifully. 4 lines down, we guess right. Dayoy sheyamru kidechizkiah v'loy amrinon yamtim. You wait at sheyalenu Yerushalayim or yamtim at sheyisrafenu im acher. I'll wait till I combine it with something else. The kivin de b'chaim shoy leka pruta. Since in the chaimish there's not a pruta, loika choshev. In other words, it's enough. It's enough that you have a shava pruta in the keren. You don't need a shava pruta in the maisa. So you see, it's 2 distinct things. Masha'enkin, if you're going to say that ein boy chaimish in it, what do you mean dayoy? What's the dayoy over there? El man diyama ein boy. There's no shava pruta in the keren. My dayoy, my revusa. What's the chiddush? The itzrich lemisni dayoy. Learn simply say Aimer hu v'chaim shoy, right? It and it's chaimish. It doesn't say that. Dayoy is mashma. It's enough in this and not that. But it's not speaking about that you need a shava pruta in the chaimish, only in the karen. It shall learn hu v'chaim shoy. It and it's chaimish. So for that reason, we have a raya that it means hu v'chaim. It means shava pruta in the chaimish as well. Shava pruta in the chaimish as well. El mandi yami my dayoy kasha. This comes up all the time. When you were going ahead and doing the chaimish, do we do it from inside, from outside? The inside means you simply divide it by a 5th. So 1/5 of 20 would be 4. Milabar means you do it from the outside, meaning you take the 4 pieces and add a 5th. So you would take 4 pieces of 20. That would make 5s, right? And you add another one, and you add another one, or simply divide it by a quarter. Simply divide it by a quarter. That's the difference between the two, right? That's why I always say a quarter, even though it says a 5th. It's not 1/5. It's a nafkamina would be. Let's say it's worth 20. So if you go milagav, it's going to be 4. If you go milabar, it's going to be 5, right? 1/5 or 1/4. Says the Gemara. Amar Avina Toshma. Habaylim oimrim be'esrim. The Baal says, I'll be paid to this for Hegdish. I'll give you 20. V'chol Adam, I think before I said Hegdish, I think I made that was Maisa. This Hegdish is going on this. Before I said Imgol Yugol, that's speaking about Maisa. It's not speaking about Hegdish. Has the same din that you have to add a Chaimish. I incorrectly said that that's speaking about Hegdish. It's speaking about Maisa. Here it's speaking about Hegdish. So you're being paid the Hegdish. The Baal says 20. The Choladim be'esrim. And everyone else says esrim. Habal kaidmin. You know why? Because everyone's going to give 20, and how much is he going to give? He's going to add on what? He's going to add on a chaimish. He's going to add on 5. So you see, you go milabar. Amar echad hari elu be'esrim ve'echad. Habaylim noisin esrim v'sheish. Esrim v'shnayim. Habaylim noisin esrim v'sheva. You know, he's not going to pay the chaimish on the extra. He only paid on the 20. He won't pay on what they're adding on. Be'esrim v'shalosh. Habaylim noisin esrim v'shmeina. Be'esrim v'arba. Habaylim noisin esrim v'tisha. You're only going to add the chaimish onto what? The original amount of the 20. You're not going to add on to the amount that this person said. But the bottom line is you have to pay the Karen. This person took 27, you're going to have to pay the 27, but you're only going to add on what? You're only going to add on the quarter. Shmamina, chumsha milabar, shmamina, that chemish goes what? Milabar, you always divide by a quarter. Shmamina, it's a good raya.